Good afternoon, Bataan! Good afternoon, partner! At magandang afternoon sa ating mga attendees. Ang bilis ng panahon, partner! Nasa second quarter na tayo ng ating webinar series. And I'm sure, just like our first quarter webinar series, this afternoon will be a productive one.
Yes, partner. I'm sure this afternoon will be a remarkable one because surely we will learn a lot of things from our facilitators. Sana lang, Lord, makisama po sa amin yung internet connection.
Yes, partner. Iyan ang pinakamatinding challenge na kakaharapin natin ngayon. Pero sana nga, makisama ang mga internet providers natin para sa hapon na ito. But just in case na talagang mawala ng internet connection, our participants can watch the replay of this webinar through our Bataan Science channel via YouTube.
Alright, partner. Let us formally open our program this afternoon. Grade 10 Science teachers and ALS, SDO Bataan, coordinators, welcome to the Division Series on Science Content and Teaching Strategies in the context of the most essential learning competencies, Grade 10. We are live via OBS, Zoom, and YouTube.
And with that, partner, let us have the audio-visual presentation of our national anthem. And to ask for His grace for this afternoon's webinar series, we will have our prayer still through an audio-visual presentation.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, pero sa sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatak tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagkikinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pamali magtitingin. Lumalang araw ng walang pagsinta, mo'y langit sa piling ko. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga akin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
A prayer for teachers. Giver of all wisdom and greatest of all teachers, look upon our teachers with love. Grant them the resolve to nurture our eager minds and to never give up on us who fall behind. Bless their hearts, for they rejoice when we succeed, and encourage us when we fail. Endow them with gentle patience, for the path of learning is never easy. Kindle a spirit of passion in them. It is the flame that ignites the love of learning in us. Help them see the potential in each student. Their belief in us means much more than the grade we make. Instill in them a commitment to keep on learning. It shows us to not fear new knowledge and experiences. Inspire them to touch the future. They influence how big a dream we dream for ourselves. Bless our teachers who have come before, for their work endures to this day. Let the light of your example shine upon all teachers, to build up with their words, to love with their mind, to share with their heart. Amen.
And now, let us focus our screen and hear our Education Program Supervisor in Science, Dr. Edwin Rial Bermilio, for his opening remarks.
Happy New Year, everyone. My respect and greetings to our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Romeo M. Alip, to our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir William Roderick Fallurin, to our Curriculum Implementation Division Chief, Dr. Milagros M. Peñaflor, to the Program Management Team, Learning Facilitators, Science teachers from grade 3 to senior high school, including Alternative Learning System, to our dearest students and parents, magandang buhay po sa ating lahat. Positive feedbacks were received from the first wave of our webinar as a good start that signified that the science department could conduct webinar in the different grade levels from grade 3 to senior high school using this platform and live stream at Bataan Science Channel. Expectedly, the task of teachers will be more challenging than before, considering that in this new normal setting, we in the SDO Bataan need to embark appropriate strategies and approaches to be able to realize our desire to make science education continue amidst this health crisis. This second wave of our webinar series is aiming again to enhance the content knowledge and pedagogical skills of our science teachers as necessary preparation for us to effectively deliver the most essential learning competencies and skills to our teachers and learners for the second quarter. This webinar series is only part of what we intend to do under the new normal to augment the educational needs of our students. It is a perfect tool that offers a myriad of information on science content, teaching strategies, and innovation in support to science curriculum that will help them to adapt to changes in the latest teaching and learning system under the new normal. To our learning facilitators and program management team, thank you very much for accepting this challenge. I know we can do this with God's grace, and we will be able to survive and face the whole new world of educational learning experience with confidence, integrity, and most of all, with the different competencies that we have. Maraming salamat po sa lahat. God bless everyone. Keep safe po.
Happy New Year din po, sir. Challenge accepted, Sir Edwin. Thank you, SDO Bataan, for equipping us with different strategies and knowledge to cope up in this new normal situation.
Thank you, Ma'am Joanne and Sir Edwin. And now, let us listen to our CID Chief, Dr. Milagros M. Peñaflor, for her inspirational message.
Hello everybody, good to be with you again after the first quarter. Here we go to the next station, the second quarter. Thanks to you, my dear science teachers, for the continuous effort of providing our learners with skills, not only for mastery, but most importantly, for developing higher order skills on critical thinking and creativity. My gratitude to our science supervisor, Dr. Edwin Berbillo, for all the initiatives. This move really provides our unit, the Curriculum Implementation Division, a great help in realizing its goal of providing basic education services to our clienteles. On behalf of our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Romeo M. Alip, I would like to congratulate the Science Department, our teachers, our department heads, our principal science coordinators for improving science instruction that eventually lead to improving learner performance. Thank you for all your efforts. Congratulations and God bless us all.
Thank you for that very warm and heartfelt message, Ma'am Mila. Rest assured po that we, the teachers, together with our heads and principal, and of course with the continued support of SDO Bataan, that the continuity plan of our department will fully be implemented. Para sa bata, para sa bayan.
Before we proceed with our webinar proper, I am inviting our attendees to please read and internalize the different webinar guidelines that we have provided for this afternoon.
Our first facilitator is a teacher 3 of E.C. Bernabe National High School, a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Education, major in General Science, and completed her academic requirements in master's degree, major in science at BPSU Main Campus. Let us welcome Ma'am Marites P. Banson to discuss her topic on electromagnetic spectrum.
Good day, fellow science teachers. Welcome to the Division Webinar Series in Science Content and Teaching Strategies in the context of the most essential learning competencies in Grade 10. Before we start, I want to congratulate each and every one of us because we have successfully finished our first quarter in this new normal of teaching
I'm
and
sure
learning
this
classes.
afternoon will
And
be
as
a
we continue
remarkable
this
one.
school year,
Because surely
I hope
we will learn
that
a
we will
lot of
face
things
this
from
another
our
period
facilitators.
with more hope
Sana
and
lang, Lord,
courage.
makisama po
I
sa
am
amin yung
Marites P.
internet
Banson,
connection.
Teacher 3 at E.C. Bernabe National High School, and I will be discussing the topic, electromagnetic spectrum. What are the things that we're going to discuss about this topic? According to the most essential learning competencies, our objectives are compare the relative wavelengths of different
Alright,
forms of
partner.
electromagnetic
Let us formally
waves,
open our program this
give
afternoon.
examples of practical
Grade 10
application
science
of the
teachers
different
and
regions
ALS,
of
SDO
electromagnetic
Bataan,
waves, and
coordinators,
explain the
welcome to
effects
the
of
division
electromagnetic
series
radiation
on science
on living
content
things
and
and the
teaching
environment.
strategies in the context of the most essential learning competencies,
Electromagnetic
grade
radiation
10.
is
We
constantly
are live
around
via
us from various
OBS,
sources
Zoom,
and small
and YouTube.
doses. We are surrounded with thousands of waves. Waves collide with our bodies and some pass through us. Most of these waves are invisible, but we can perceive some of them. The warmth of the sun and the light that we see are just a few of them. These waves share similar characteristics, yet they are unique in some ways. These waves are called electromagnetic waves. Electromagnetic waves are disturbances that transfer energy through a field. They can travel through a medium, but what makes them strange is that they can transmit through empty space. Electromagnetic waves can travel through an empty space or vacuum, so they do not give up their energy. This enables electromagnetic waves to cross great distances, such that from the sun to the earth, without losing much energy. In vacuum, electromagnetic waves travel at a constant speed of 3 times 10 to the 8 meter per second. Electromagnetic waves can also transmit with a material medium. They can also transfer energy to the medium itself. When they interact with matter, their energy can be converted into many different forms of energy. With these characteristics, electromagnetic waves are used for a wide variety of purposes. Radiation is the term used to describe the transfer of energy in the form of electromagnetic waves. James Clerk Maxwell, 1831 to 1879, a Scottish scientist in the field of mathematical physics. He developed a scientific theory to explain electromagnetic waves. He noticed that electrical field and magnetic field can couple together to form electromagnetic waves. Neither an electrical field nor a magnetic field will go anywhere by themselves, but Maxwell discovered that a changing magnetic field will induce a changing electric field and vice versa. An electromagnetic wave exists when the changing magnetic field causes a changing electric field, which then causes another changing magnetic field, and so on forever. Once created, an electromagnetic wave will continue on forever unless it is absorbed by matter. Electromagnetic waves are energy waves that transmit energy. It is produced by the vibration of charged particles and have electrical and magnetic properties. Electromagnetic waves are also transverse waves, which means that they oscillate perpendicular to the direction of energy transfer. An electromagnetic wave has crests and troughs. Distance between crests is the wavelength. The number of crests that pass a given point within 1 second is called frequency, which corresponds to the different kinds of light. 1 cycle per second is called hertz. All electromagnetic radiation moves at the speed of light in a vacuum, which is 3 times 10 to the 8 meter per second. The electromagnetic spectrum is a continuum of electromagnetic waves arranged according to the frequency and wavelength. It is a gradual progression from the waves of lowest frequencies to the waves of highest frequencies. According to increasing frequency, the electromagnetic spectrum includes radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma rays. These waves do not have exact dividing region. The electromagnetic spectrum is the entire range of electromagnetic waves in order of increasing frequency and decreasing wavelength. As you go from left to right, the wavelengths get smaller and the frequencies get higher. This is an inverse relationship between the wave size and the frequency. This picture gives us a clearer idea of the characteristics of the electromagnetic waves as their sizes are compared with visible materials. Like radio waves are compared with buildings and humans, microwaves are compared with butterflies, infrared are compared with needlepoint, visible lights are compared with protozoans, the ultraviolets are compared with molecules, X-rays are compared with atoms, and gamma rays are compared with atomic nuclei. What differentiates them? What differentiates them is the wavelength and frequency, which is inversely proportional. So let us remember some things. The higher the frequency, the more energy the wave has. EM waves do not require media in which to travel or move. EM waves are considered to be transverse waves because they are made of vibrating electric and magnetic fields at right angles to each other and to the direction of waves are traveling. There are also inverse relationship between wave size and frequency, which means as wavelengths get smaller, frequencies get higher. Let us now discuss the basic types of electromagnetic waves, their characteristics, and their applications. First are the radio waves. Radio waves have the longest wavelengths and the lowest frequencies. Wavelengths range from 1,000ths of meters to 0.001 meter. They are used in TV broadcasting. TV signal is carried by wire to an antenna, which is often on a high building. The signal is broadcast through the air as an electromagnetic wave. These waves can travel through the air at the speed of light, but not over very long distance. A good signal can be received up to about 100 kilometers. They are also used in radio communication. Radio works by transmitting and receiving electromagnetic waves. The radio signal is an electronic current moving back and forth very quickly. A transmitter radiates this field outward via an antenna. A receiver then picks up the field and translates it to the sounds heard through the radio. They are also used in satellite communication. By using radio waves to send signals to the antennas on the Earth, the antennas then capture those signals and process the information coming from those signals. Next are microwaves. Microwaves have electromagnetic radiation having a frequency within the range of 1 GHz to 1 THz, 109 to 1012 cycles per second, and the wavelength between 1 mm and 1 meter. They are used in radars. Radars send out electromagnetic waves similar to wireless computer networks and mobile phones. The signals are sent out as short pulses which may be reflected by objects in their path, in part reflecting back to the radar. When these pulses intercept precipitation, part of the energy is scattered back to the radar. They are also used in microwave ovens. Microwaves are produced inside the oven by an electron tube called a magnetron. The microwaves are reflected within the metal interior of the oven where they are absorbed by food. Microwaves cause water molecules in food to vibrate, producing heat that cooks the food. They are also used in terrestrial communication. A microwave link is a communication system that uses a beam of radio waves in the microwave's frequency range to transmit video, audio, or data between locations, which can be from just few feet or meters to several miles or kilometers apart. Next type of wave are the infrared. They are electromagnetic spectrum that extends from the long wavelength, or red, end of the visible light range to the microwave range. The infrared range is usually divided into three regions. First is the near-infrared, the nearest the visible spectrum, with wavelengths 0.78 to about 2.5 micrometers. Another is the middle infrared with wavelengths 2.5 to about 50 micrometers, and the far infrared with wavelengths 50 to 1000 micrometers. They are used in CCTV night vision mode. In order to see at night, most CCTV cameras use infrared technology. If you look at CCTV cameras with night vision capability, you'll notice that they are surrounded by a number of small LEDs. These emit infrared light at night, which allows the camera to see even in total darkness. Another application is the night vision goggles. Night vision goggles use thermal imaging technology to capture the infrared light. This way, you can see an image of what's going on in the dark. It's based on the amount of heat being made by objects. Thermal imaging works well when trying to see people in the dark. They are used in remote control devices. The main technology used in home remote control is infrared light. The signal between a remote control handset and the device it controls consists of pulses of infrared light, which is invisible to the human eye but can be seen through a digital camera, video camera, or a phone camera. They are also used in thermal camera and security. Thermal security camera work by seeing heat energy from objects. All objects, living or not, have heat energy that infrared cameras use to detect an image. This is why a thermal imaging camera can operate at all times, even in complete darkness. They are also used in monitoring the Earth. The Earth Observation Satellite, or Earth Remote Sensing Satellite, is a satellite used or designed for Earth observation from orbit, including spy satellite and similar ones intended for non-military uses, such as environmental monitoring, meteorology, cartography, and others. Next type are the visible light. Wavelengths range from 700 nanometer to 30 nanometer with frequencies higher than infrared waves. These are the waves in the electromagnetic spectrum that humans can see. Visible light waves are a very small part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Visible light lies between the infrared and the ultraviolet. Violet is the highest frequency light, and red light is the lowest frequency light. If not because of visible light, we will not be able to see the beauty of our surroundings. Objects have color because EM waves interact with their molecules. Aside from sight, there are other important uses for visible light. We concentrate visible light to make lasers to use in everything from surgery to CD players to laser pointers. And visible light waves also make our TV, computer, and cell phone screens work. Next are the ultraviolet light. Wavelengths range from 400 nanometer to 10 nanometer. The frequency and therefore its energy is high enough with UV rays to penetrate living cells and cause them damage. Although we cannot see UV light, bees, bats, butterflies, some small rodents, and birds can. UV on our skin produces vitamin D in our bodies. Too much UV can lead to sunburn and skin cancer. UV rays are easily blocked by clothing. Ultraviolet lights are used in sterilization and disinfection. Ultraviolet germicidal irradiation is a disinfection method that uses short wavelength ultraviolet light to kill or inactivate microorganisms by destroying nucleic acid and disrupting their DNA, leaving them unable to perform vital cellular functions. They are also used in phototherapy. Suitable doses of ultraviolet rays causes the body to produce vitamin D and used to treat vitamin D deficiency and some skin disorders. They are also used in detecting forged banknotes. UV banknote checker is a type of counterfeit detector which uses UV lamps to shed ultraviolet light into the banknotes to reveal banknote embedded safety features such as UV marks, metal thread or watermarks. UV marks will glow when exposed to UV light. Metal threads will shine out and watermarks will be fully visible. Next type of EM waves are the X-rays. X-rays have wavelengths from 10 nanometer to 0.001 nanometer. These rays have enough energy to penetrate deep into tissues and cause damage to cells. They are stopped by dense materials such as bone. X-rays are used in medical imaging. Medical X-rays are used to generate images of tissues and structures inside the body. If X-rays traveling through the body also pass through an X-ray detector on the other side of the patient, an image will be formed that represents the shadows formed by the objects inside the body. They are used in airport X-ray security. They are used to build a picture of what's inside your bags and allow security staff to check anything that looks suspicious. They are designed to show hidden objects beneath clothing or luggage. They can detect both metallic and non-metallic objects, ranging from guns to foods and plastics. X-rays are also used in treatment of cancer. Chest X-rays may be used to diagnose, stage, and treat lung cancer. In low doses, X-rays may be used to construct images of structures inside the body to detect and stage a tumor. In higher doses, X-rays may be used in radiation therapy to help destroy cancerous cells in the body. Last type of electromagnetic waves are the gamma rays. They carry the most energy and have the shortest wavelengths, less than 1 trillionth of a meter. Gamma rays have enough energy to go through most material easily. You would need a 3 to 4 feet thick concrete wall to stop them. Gamma rays are used in medicine, such as CT scanner and cure cancer with gamma knife surgery. Gamma knife surgery is a radiation therapy that uses computerized treatment planning software to help physicians locate and eradicate small targets within the head and brain with very high precision. The treatment delivers intense radiation doses to the target area while sparing surrounding tissue. During a CT scan, the patient lies on a bed that slowly moves through the gantry while the X-ray tube rotates around the patient, shooting narrow beams of X-ray through the body. Instead of film, CT scanners use special digital X-ray detectors which are located directly opposite the X-ray source. Gamma rays are used in nuclear weapons. The energy emitted as gamma radiation is thousands of times greater than that from conventional chemical explosives. Despite their ability to penetrate other materials, in general, neither gamma rays nor X-rays have the ability to make anything radioactive. Several feet of concrete or a few inches of dense material, such as lead, are able to block this type of radiation. Electromagnetic waves generated by many natural and human-made sources can travel for long distances and play a very important role in our daily life. Resulting from the technological innovations, the use of electromagnetic fields gradually increase, and thus people are exposed to electromagnetic waves at level much higher than those present in nature. So what might be the effect of electromagnetic radiation on living things? According to their frequency and energy, electromagnetic waves can be classified as either ionizing radiations or non-ionizing radiations. Non-ionizing radiations have photon energies too weak to break atomic bonds. They include ultraviolet, infrared, radio frequency, and microwaves. Ionizing radiations are extremely high-frequency electromagnetic waves like X-rays and gamma rays, which have enough photon energy to produce ionization by breaking the atomic bonds that hold molecules in cells together. Let us name some of the effects of EM radiation to humans. Short-term exposure to EM radiation can cause frequent headaches, nausea, and hearing loss. Prolonged exposure to EM radiation is very harmful to reproduction. In men, it lowers the sperm count, and in women, it poses a risk in fertility and development of the fetus. Also, it causes brain tumor and cancer. There are dangers of radio waves. Large doses of radio waves are believed to cause cancer. There are also dangers if we are exposed in ultraviolet radiation. It can damage our skin and can cause sunburn. It also damages the DNA inside skin cells and can lead to skin cancer. It can also damage cells in the eyes that cause cataracts. Prolonged exposure to X-rays and gamma rays can be very dangerous. Since they are ionizing radiation, they destroy cells and can cause gene mutation or cancer. When we are exposed in microwaves, the water in our cell absorbs them, which makes our cell heat up. This is believed to be dangerous and can cause heating and burning. As you can see in the picture, there is a thermographic image of the head with no exposure to harmful cell phone radiation. And to the right, this is a thermographic image of the head after a 15-minute phone call. Yellow and red areas indicate the thermal effects that can cause negative health effects. The dramatically increasing number of mobile phone users raise significant concerns due to its potential damage to people exposed to radio frequency waves. Since mobile phones are used in positions very close to human body and requires large number of base station antenna, the public and scientists have questions in their mind about the impact of mobile phone network on health. Given the so many benefits that electromagnetic radiation provide in our daily life, there are also lots of danger that it poses. So it really depends on us on how we can manage and utilize this radiation and how we can protect ourselves from its harmful effect. That's the end of my discussion. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Ma'am Marites, for the very well explained topic. OMG, prolonged exposure to electromagnetic radiation is harmful to reproduction, and large doses of radio waves are believed to cause cancer. It can also damage our skin, DNA, and can make us blind. So let us be cautious of prolonged exposure, Ma'am Evelyn.
Yes, partner, not only with the reproductive issues but also with other health concerns as well. Actually, napaka-timely nito, partner, lalong-lalo na ngayon na tayo ay very much exposed to this EM radiation, katulad na lang ng mga work from homes natin kung saan puro online reports ang ating ginagawa at masyado tayong exposed sa ating mga gadget. So, ganun din naman ang ating mga estudyante. So we may not feel it right away, but of course, in the long run, makikita rin natin ang magiging epekto nito. Yes, tama ka, partner. Kailangan kahit paulit-ulit, lagi nating i-remind ang ating mga bata na limitahan ang paggamit ng gadgets and even televisions. At para sa atin namang mga kapwa guro, the key factor here is time management para limitado rin ang pagharap natin sa ating mga laptops. And with that, partner, magkakaroon muna tayo ng 5-minute break para naman makapag-relax, makapag-inhale, exhale ng konti.
Our second facilitator is a graduate of Bataan Peninsula State University with a degree of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Physical Science last 2012. And last year, 2020, she completed her degree in Masters of Arts in Education, major in General Science. Currently, she is the Science Coordinator of St. Francis National High School. Let us welcome Ma'am Maylene Elardo, Teacher 1 of St. Francis National School, with her topic, Lights.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maylene Penoman Elardo from St. Francis National High School, Limay District. Thank you so much for joining us here today in our division webinar series on science content and teaching strategies for Quarter 2. I will be your facilitator in this session, and my topic is about lights, mirrors, and lenses. The first discussion from the most essential learning competency in this topic is about qualitative characteristics of images formed by plane and curved mirrors and lenses. Before we jump in our discussion, let me share to you the objectives of this session. The objectives are: number 1, predict the qualitative characteristics, location, orientation, type, and size of images formed by plane and curved mirrors and lenses. Number 2, construct ray diagrams to determine the location, orientation, type, and size of images formed by curved mirrors and lenses. Lastly, identify ways in which the properties of mirrors and lenses determine their use in optical instruments. Mirrors and lenses are simple optical elements which can be understand the basics of light reflection and refraction with the help of geometric optics. Geometric optics or ray optics describes the light propagation in terms of rays. The ray is an abstraction or instrument that can be used to predict the path of light. The following are helpful terms and notations for ray tracing and diagrams. Number 1 is the principal axis. Principal axis is the horizontal axis of point O, C, I, and F. Number 2 is object. It is placed at point O. Number 3, center of curvature. It is labeled as point C in the principal axis. Number 4, we have focal point. Focal point is the focus of the lens at which can be found by illuminating light rays and initially light rays meet. It is labeled as point F in the principal axis. Number 5 is focal length. It is the distance from the focal point to the curvature along the principal axis. Lastly, we have image. Image is formed after the ray tracing. It is labeled as point I in the principal axis. So what do we mean by ray diagram? A ray diagram is a representation of the possible paths light can take to get from one place to another. It is a useful tool for determining the location of an image as produced by curved mirrors or lenses. To determine the location of an image using a ray diagram, at least two sets of incident, reflected, and refracted rays must be constructed for strategic positions on the object. By constructing at least two sets of incident, reflected, and refracted rays, this image location can easily be found. To describe the images formed after a ray tracing is done, the following characteristics in interpreting the image formed in mirrors and lenses will be helpful. The first one is location. The image formed can be found at different points in the principal axis. The image form may vary depending on where the object is placed. The second one is orientation. The orientation of the image form can either be inverted or upright. The third one is size. The size of the image form can be reduced or enlarged, but in some cases, the image form is just the same as the size of the object. Lastly, we have the type. The image form can either be real or virtual. So what is the difference between the two? So for real image, the image form when light rays actually converge. When the light rays meet at particular point after deflection or refraction from the mirror or lenses, the image form is real. If we're talking about mirrors, we can say that the image form is real if it appears in front of the mirror. While for lenses, we can say that the image form is real if it formed behind the lenses. So, for virtual image, on the other hand, it is formed when the image form is due to the rays of light that only appear to converge. When the light rays appear to meet at defined point after deflection or refraction from the mirror or lenses, the image form is virtual image. So for mirrors, we can say that the image form is virtual if it appears behind the mirror. For lenses, we can say that the image form is virtual if it appears in front of the lens. Let us now define mirrors. Mirrors is an object or device that reflects light. These are typically made up of glass-coated metal amalgam or an alloy that reflects a clear image. There are different classifications of mirrors. These are plane mirror, concave mirror, and convex mirror. Plane mirror work because the light rays create a virtual image behind the mirror. The light rays from the object strike the mirror and reflect according to the law of reflection. On the other hand, a concave mirror has a reflective surface that is curved inward and away from the light source. Concave mirrors reflects the light inward to one focal point. Unlike convex mirrors, the image formed by concave mirrors shows different image types depending on the distance between the object and the mirror. Lastly, convex mirror is a diverging mirror in which the reflective surface bulges towards the light. They are not used to focus light as they reflect light outwards. The image formed by convex mirrors are smaller than the object but gets larger as they approach the mirror. The four principal rays in curved mirrors are the following. The first one is the PF ray. PF ray is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is reflected passing through the principal focus F. The second one is the FP ray. It is a ray of light passing through the focus F, is reflected parallel to the principal axis. The third one is the CC ray. It is a ray of light passing through the center of curvature C, reflects back along its own path. Lastly, we have V ray. It is where a ray of light directed to the vertex reflects at equal angle from the principal axis. So let us now try ray tracing for concave mirror by applying the four principal rays that we have discussed a while back. So let's say, for example, the object is placed at the center of curvature. So let us apply the first principal ray, which is the PF ray. So it is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis is reflected passing through the principal focus F. Second ray is FP ray. It is a ray of light passing through the focus F is reflected parallel to the principal axis. The third ray is CC ray. It is not applicable this time because the object is placed at point C. So the last one is V ray. V ray is a ray of light directed to the vertex reflects at equal angle from the principal axis. Now, we can see that there are 3 reflected rays meet at one point. So we can conclude that this is where the image is formed. Now let us identify the qualitative characteristics of the image that is formed from the ray tracing. So the location of the image is at point C. The orientation is inverted. The size is same. And the type is real. So the ray diagram shows that the image of this object is located as an upside down image positioned at the center of curvature. In fact, it can be generalized that anytime the object is located at the center of curvature, the image will be located at the center of curvature as well. So the image is called real because they are formed by the actual convergence of reflection of reflected light rays at the image location. Real images are always formed on the same side of the mirror as the object. So let us now proceed to the second example wherein the object is placed between point F and B. So let us now apply the principal rays, the PF ray, the FP ray, the CC ray, wherein a ray of light passing through the center of curvature C reflects back along its own path. So lastly, we have the V ray, wherein a ray of light directed to the vertex reflects at equal angle from the principal axis. So in this case, wherein the object is placed between point P, F, and V, the reflected rays does not meet in front of the mirror. That's why we will extend the reflected rays behind the mirror. So the first ray is the PF ray, which is represented by the orange line. Second is the FP ray. The third is the CC ray and the V ray. So now, 3 out of 4 principal rays meet or intersect at one point. So this is where now the image is formed. So can you identify the qualitative characteristics of this image? So I am encouraging you to write the qualitative characteristics of the image form on the comment box. So later we will have a special recognition to those who answered correct. Okay? So, if you answered that the location of the image form is behind the mirror, you are correct. The orientation is upright. The size is enlarged, obviously. And the type is virtual. The ray diagram for the case in which the object is located between F and V or in front of the focal point, the light rays diverge after reflecting off the mirror. When light rays diverge after reflection, a virtual image is formed. The image location can be found by tracing all reflected rays backwards until they intersect. For every observer, the reflected rays would seem to be diverging from this point. Thus, the point of intersection of the extended reflected rays is the image point. Since light does not actually pass through this point, the image is referred to as virtual image. Let us familiarize ourselves on how the incident rays reflects on convex mirrors. So the first ray is PF ray. It is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is reflected as if passing through the principal focus F. Number 2 is the FP ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the focus F, is reflected parallel to the principal axis. The third one is the CC ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the center of curvature, reflects back along its own path. Lastly is V-ray. It is a ray of light directed to the vertex, reflects at equal angle from the principal axis. Let's try ray tracing for convex mirror. Our first example is the object is placed between F and C in front of mirror. So applying the first principal ray, a ray of light parallel to the principal axis is reflected as if passing through the principal focus F. That is PF ray. The second ray is FP ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the focus F, is reflected parallel to the principal axis. The third ray is CC ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the center of curvature C, reflects back along its own path. Lastly is the V-ray. It is a ray of light directed to the vertex, reflects at equal angle from the principal axis. So as we can see, the four reflected rays meet at one point behind the mirror. So this is where the image is formed. Let us now identify the qualitative characteristics of the image form. So the location is between point F and V, or in front of F. The orientation is upright, the size is reduced, and the type is virtual, since the image formed behind the mirror. For our second example, the object is placed further than C in front of the mirror. So let us apply the first principal ray. We have the PF ray. It is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is reflected as if passing through the principal focus F. The second ray is the FP ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the focus F, is reflected parallel to the principal axis. Number 3 is the CC ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the center of curvature C, reflects back along its own path. The fourth ray is the V-ray. It is a ray of light directed to the vertex, reflects at equal angle from the principal axis. So just like the example for number 1, the image form also behind the mirror. So for the qualitative characteristics, the location is between F and V, the orientation is upright, the size is reduced, and the type is virtual. Let us proceed to lenses. Lenses is an optical device that transmits and refracts light. It is actually a piece of transparent material that is shaped so as to cause light rays to bend in a specific way as they pass through it. There are two basic simple type of lenses. These are converging lenses and diverging lenses. A converging lens focuses rays of light from infinity, and the refracted rays intersect at the same common point. A diverging lens focuses rays of light from infinity, and the refracted rays have no common point of intersection. Therefore, we can say that convex lens is a converging lens since it focuses light at the same common point and can form an image, while concave lens is a diverging lens since it spreads out light rays that have been refracted through it. Now let us talk about the three principal rays in lenses. From the diagram below, it is represented by a convex lens. The first principal ray is PF ray. It is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is refracted passing through the principal focus F behind the lens. The second ray is FP ray. It is a ray of light passing through the focus F in front of the lens, is refracted parallel to the principal axis. Lastly is V ray. It is a ray of light passing through the exact center of the lens, continue to travel in the same direction. Now let us apply the three most useful rays for convex lens. The first example is the object is placed between 2F and F. Applying the first principal ray, which is the PF ray, it is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is refracted passing through the principal focus F behind the lens. The second ray is FP ray. It is a ray of light passing through the focus F in front of the lens, is refracted parallel to the principal axis. The third ray is V ray. It is a ray of light passing through the exact center of the lens, continue to travel in the same direction. From this diagram, the three refracted rays meet at one point. So this is where the image is formed. Now, let us identify the qualitative characteristics of the image formed. The location of the image is beyond 2F. The orientation is inverted. The size is enlarged. And the type is real. For number 2, the object is placed at the focal point. Again, let us apply the principal rays for lenses. The first ray is PF ray. It is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is refracted passing through the principal focus F behind the lens. The second ray is FP ray. FP ray is not applicable since the object is placed at point F. So we will proceed to the V ray. V ray is a ray of light passing through the exact center of the lens, continue to travel in the same direction. Since the two rays does not meet, even if we will extend the refracted rays in front of the lens, there is no image that will form. That's why it is safe to say that for the qualitative characteristic, for this example, no image is formed. So now, what do you think will be the direction of the refracted rays when light passes through a concave lens, which is also known as a diverging lens? So let us familiarize ourselves with the following rays. The first one is PF ray. As you can see in the diagram, it is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is refracted as if passing through the principal focus F in front of the lens. The second ray is FP ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the focus F behind the lens, is refracted parallel to the principal axis. The last ray is V ray. It is a ray of light passing through at the exact center of the lens, continue to travel in the same direction. Let us apply the three most useful rays for concave lenses. So let's say, for example, the object is placed at point F. Applying the first ray, which is the PF ray, wherein this is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is refracted as if passing through the principal focus F in front of the lens. Second ray is FP ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the focus F behind the lens, is refracted parallel to the principal axis. The third ray is V ray. It is a ray of light passing through the exact center of the lens, continue to travel in the same direction. So as we can see, the three refracted rays did not meet. So we will extend the refracted rays in front of the lens. So now, this is where the image is formed. So let us now identify the qualitative characteristics of the image. The location of the image is between F and V. The orientation is upright. The size is reduced. And the type is virtual. So how about if the object is placed beyond F? So let us again apply the three most useful rays. First one is the PF ray. It is a ray of light parallel to the principal axis, is refracted as if passing through the principal focus F in front of the lens. The second ray is FP ray. It is a ray of light directed towards the focus F behind the lens, is refracted parallel to the principal axis. Lastly, the V ray. It is a ray of light passing through the exact center of the lens, continue to travel in the same direction. So just like our example in number 1, we will extend the refracted rays in front of the lens, since the three refracted rays did not meet behind the lens. Okay, so we can conclude that this is where the image is formed. So what is the qualitative characteristics of the image? The location of the image is between F and V. The orientation is upright. The size is reduced. And the type is virtual. So a virtual image is formed if the object is located less than one focal length from the converging lens. In the case the light rays diverge after refracting through the lens, when refracted rays diverge, a virtual image is formed. The next topic is about ways in which the properties of mirrors and lenses determine their use in optical instruments. Optics is the study of visible light and the way it can be used to extend human vision and do other tasks. Optical instruments are based on optics. They use mirrors and lenses to reflect and refract light and form images. For optical instruments, we have the camera, magnifying glass, compound microscope, and telescope. These optical instruments are the optical instruments that we always see. Let us discuss magnifying glass. Magnifying glass consists of a single converging lens. A magnifying glass increases the apparent size of an object. An average normal eye cannot focus on an object at a distance closer than about 25 cm, which is the near point of the human eye. To further increase the focus image size of an object, a magnifying glass can be placed in front of the eye with an object located inside the focus of the lens. A light microscope is an instrument that uses lenses to make enlarged images of objects that are too small for the unaided eye to see. A common type of light microscope is compound microscope. Compound microscope is used to magnify microorganisms or organisms to become visible to the naked eye. Like microscopes, telescopes use convex lenses to make enlarged images. However, telescopes make enlarged images of objects, such as distant stars, that only appear tiny because they are very far away. There are two basic types of telescopes. These are reflecting telescopes and refracting telescopes. Reflecting telescopes is made up of a mirror found inside the telescope and an eyepiece lens, while refracting telescope is similar to a compound microscope in a manner of objective and eyepiece lens. These two basic types of telescope differ in how they collect light, but both use convex lenses to form enlarged images. A compound microscope has at least two convex lenses, one or more objective lenses, and one or more eyepiece lenses. The objective lenses are close to the object being viewed. They form an enlarged image of the object inside the microscope. The eyepiece lenses are close to the viewer's eye, which form an enlarged image of the first image. The magnifications of all the lenses are multiplied together to yield the overall magnification of the microscope. Some light microscopes can magnify objects more than 1,000 times. The next optical instrument is camera. A photographic camera is one of the simple optical instruments that uses a converging lens. A lens is a tool used to bring light to a fixed focal point. Camera forms and records an image of an object. The image may be recorded on film or it may be detected by an electronic sensor that stores the image digitally. Regardless of how the image is recorded, all cameras form images in the same basic way. So how does a camera works? So light passes through the lens at the front of the camera and enters the camera through an opening called aperture. As light passes through the lens, it forms a reduced real image. The image focuses on film at the back of the camera. The lens may be moved back and forth to bring the image into focus. The shutter controls the amount of light that actually strikes the film. It stays open longer in dim light to let more light in. And to end my discussion, let me share to you the simple quotation. Mirrors don't lie, unless if it's plain. If it changes its thickness accordingly, like a concave and convex, it changes our reflection also. With that, thank you very much po for listening, and God bless.
Thank you, Ma'am Eileen, for that very comprehensive discussion about lights. Yes, light exists in a relatively narrow bandwidth within the electromagnetic spectrum. At dahil dun, partner, we must not disregard that despite all the practical applications of light, negative effects still exist.
Yes po, Ma'am Evelyn. Pwede po ma-irritate ang mga mata ng ating mga learners. We must continuously remind them that the use of cell phone or gadgets is necessary, but it needs to be under certain limitations.
Tama ka, partner. Pero kung hindi naman talaga maiiwasan ang paggamit ng cellphone, with the recent technologies, the cellphone features are now being improved. So meron na tayong tinatawag diyan na part ng ating cellphone kung saan meron tayong eye comfort para ma-minimize yung visible light emitted by our cell phones at hindi masyadong ma-irritate ang ating mga mata. Again, Ma'am Maylin, maraming salamat for sharing your expertise with regards to light. Partner, break ulit tayo ng 5 minutes para makapag-stretching naman ng konti before we proceed with our third facilitator.
Our third and last but not the least topic, it will be discussed by Ma'am Catherine E. Bernabe, Teacher 1 of Jayag Memorial High School, graduated from BPSU Balanga Campus, major in Physical Science, cum laude. She will be sharing her teaching strategies to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. For today, we will talk about teaching strategies for the second quarter of Grade 10 Science in the new normal. I hope, despite of this pandemic and new COVID variant, you're all doing well. I hope that everyone is still healthy and safe. I know you have lots of things to do at home and even, of course, in school. So, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I hope that at the end of our webinar, you will be able to learn new strategies that we can use in the new normal education. So before we proceed to my topic, let us go through some basic guidelines. First, please be on mute whenever you're not speaking. Second, for questions, please use the chat box or the chat pane. Third, everyone is expected until the end of our webinar. And last, please do answer the post-webinar quiz, feedback, or evaluation that we'll be providing you. Again, it's a pleasure to be one of the facilitators. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I am your third facilitator for today, Catherine E. Bernabe from Justice Emilio Angeles Gancayco Memorial High School, Orion District. Since we are here now in the new normal, we have to adopt and learn more about how we are going to cope up with this kind of education or the delivery of learning that we're gonna have for our students. Di ba po ang sabi nga, kung gusto maraming paraan and kung ayaw naman napakaraming dahilan. But since lagi nga po nating sinasabi that we are science teachers, so we always want the best for our students. So with that, as 21st century teachers, we should have to be equipped with the different strategies that we can use for this time of pandemic. So let us start with this quote from William Butler Yeats. According to him, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. And with that, let us light the fire together. For now, we have different learning modalities provided by the DepEd, like the distance learning, which is categorized into two, the modular and the online distance learning. We also have educational radio and TV-based instruction, homeschooling, and the blended learning or the combination of other learning modalities like modular and online distance learning, for instance. And to avoid spreading of the virus, still face-to-face learning is limited only to those low-risk areas. So let us focus po to those strategies that are applicable to us, or strategies that we can use for modular or online distance learning. So with that, let us define first what teaching strategy is. Teaching strategies are methods that teachers use to deliver learning in ways that keep students engaged and practicing different skills. So these are also known as instructional strategies. So when we talk about teaching strategies, this would be the methods of instruction used by the teacher to help students to learn and to apply their knowledge to achieve their academic goals. So in deciding what teaching strategy we are going to use, we must take into account the age of the students, their grade level, the setting of the class, the length of the class, and of course, the curriculum. So we teachers might use different teaching aids to reach all students with different learning styles and abilities. And now, let us see on strategies that we teachers can incorporate into our instructions, activity sheets, or online classes to enhance student learning in science. First is organizing and remembering information in science. So as we all know, science requires students to memorize and remember mass amounts of information. And the problem here is, science is not their only subject. They have other subjects like math, English, Filipino, Araling Panlipunan, ESP, MAPE, and some students have advanced subjects like the STE to focus also. So many students feel like they simply do not have strong memory skills to absorb all the ideas we are trying to feed them. So for us teachers, we should provide them ideas and informations that are organized and makes sense to them so that they can memorize or remember those ideas easier. So for organizing and remembering information in science, the first strategy is to use mnemonics. So mnemonic, this tool helps students in remembering items by using the first letter of each word to make a new word or sentence. For example, the very common and famous name of Mr. Roy G. Biv for the colors in a rainbow. So we have R for red, O for orange, Y is for yellow, G is for green, B is for blue, I is for indigo, and V is for violet. Okay, let's have another example. Rich men in Vegas use expensive gadgets. So what topic do you think is this mnemonic for? Yes, this one is for the order of increasing frequency and decreasing wavelength of electromagnetic waves. Let us see. Letter R from the word rich is for radio wave. So si radio wave has the lowest frequency but have the longest wavelength among the other electromagnetic waves. Followed by letter M from the word men is for microwave. The preposition in is for infrared. Letter V from Vegas is for visible light. Letter U from the word use is for ultraviolet. X from the word expensive is for X-ray. And the letters G and A from gadgets are for gamma ray. So si gamma ray that has the highest frequency but have the shortest wavelength. So again, the mnemonic is rich men in Vegas use expensive gadgets. So this one is for the order of increasing frequency and decreasing wavelength of electromagnetic waves. Next example under mnemonic is without my lenses, I nearly and virtually died in a cave. Yes, this one is for mirrors and lenses. So this mnemonic tells us or tells you that concave lenses are divergent and produce virtual images which correct nearsightedness. So due to the oppositional nature of mirrors and lenses, so for being virtual or real, convergent or divergent, convex or concave, nearsighted or farsighted, so having this information, having this mnemonic, allows us to conclude the other necessary facts. For example, if I tell you a concave lens is divergent, then meaning a convex lens must be convergent, and a concave mirror must be convergent as well, right? So with the help of this mnemonic, students can easily remember and organize ideas about mirrors and lenses. So the next strategy for organizing and remembering information in science is add one out. So this one is also common po. So this strategy requires students to use what they know about a topic to identify the item that does not belong when given a choice of items. So all you need to do is to first, so here are the steps. First is to identify the concept or topic area. Next, you need to select several examples from the topic. Third, make a non-example that does not fit. And last, you may ask the student or the students which item does not belong and ask them why. So this works well with items that can be classified, such as the electromagnetic waves, magnetic and non-magnetic materials, motors and generators, kinds of mirrors and lenses, and also for optical instruments. For example, let's have this one. So which does not belong among generators, motors, electric bells, and hard disk drives? Then, pag may sagot na po si bata, you may ask why. Okay? Or we can also use pictures like for this example. So we have the picture of a camera, projector, microscope, and telescope. So which does not belong among them? And why? Okay po. So next strategy is science facts triangle. This strategy divides information on a topic into 3 parts. By relating each section to the one above it, so by applying this, students can expand their knowledge from a central idea. So this information can be used as an advanced organizer in addition to a study tool. So the first thing to do is, first, you need to draw a triangle and divide it into 3 sections. Next is to place the main idea in the top section. Third, you need to write key facts about your main idea in the middle section. And last, you need to place supporting details in the bottom section. Okay, so let's have this example. Okay, first, you need to draw a triangle and divide it into 3 sections. So place the main idea in the top section. For example, our main idea here is electric motor. So next is to write key facts about electric motors in the middle section. So we have like it converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. Or we can also have the parts of the electric motors, such as the rotor, stator, and the commutator. Then last, you need to place supporting details in the bottom section, like some examples of everyday items that use electric motors. So we have vacuum cleaners, machine tools, printing press, automobiles, subway systems, sewage treatment plants, and of course, water pumping stations. So that is an example of a science facts triangle. Moving forward to the last strategy for organizing and remembering information in science is mind map. So mind mapping is a visual tool that helps students remember and associate keywords and concepts. So here are the steps that we need to follow. first, you need to place a colored image in the center of a piece of paper. So that will be our main idea or topic. Next is to branch the main ideas of the center image using a single word. So that will serve as the subtopics. Then next, print words on thick lines. Use additional colored images to stimulate the brain. And elaborate on the main ideas using thin lines connecting to the thick lines with a printed word above them. And last, you may also add additional branches and colored images. So let's have this example. In this mind map, the main idea here is magnets with 4 branches for its properties, characteristics, types, and uses. So in these branches are connected to their sub-branches for additional informations. It could be images or set of words. For the first branch, for example, for properties, we have here illustrations of unlike poles attract and like poles repel. We also have informations like the strength of the magnetic force of a magnet is strongest at its poles, the north and the south poles. Indicated also here are the ways on how we can make magnets through stroking, induction, and electricity. And we also have the destroying properties of magnets with the use of flame, hammer, or when we dropped it and broke into smaller pieces. So here's another example of mind map for magnets. And for this one, the main idea is the magnetic effects of electric current with 7 branches and another set of branches for some illustrations and definition of words. And last example is for electromagnetic waves that shows the definition, properties, and its types. So moving forward to the next part is reading science. So when we ask students to take out their science textbooks, what response do we typically get? Groans, right? Sighs, comments that are less than enthusiastic. So this reaction is understandable because for many students, reading science is like reading a foreign language, and reading science texts and textbooks requires critical thinking, analysis, and active engagement as performing hands-on science activities. So science and reading have many process skills in common. For students to gain understanding, teachers need to use a strategy. So the next strategy for reading in science is reading frames. This strategy assists students in recognizing essential information while reading science textbooks, books, articles, or web pages. So all we need to do is to provide students with a table with headings related to a selection, kung ano man po yung pinili natin, selection of a text, and have them fill in the details. For example, we will provide our students an article to read about electric motors and generators. So we need to give them the sample table with headings like its principle, parts, uses, and application. So after reading the given article, have them fill in the needed details in the table. Next strategy naman po is for writing and reflecting in science. So to learn science in a constructive way, science learners should be reflective, approach learning meaningfully, connect what they learn to previous experience, monitor their level of understanding of newly introduced concepts, and be able to express their feelings about what is being taught. So one strategy that we teachers can use for writing and reflecting in science is science logs. So this strategy can be used at any point in the lesson. No po. So science logs encourage students to think about what they know. Ano na ba yung alam nila? What questions they have before the lesson? Ano ba yung mga tanong sa isip nila bago mag-start yung lesson nyo or bago magkaroon ng discussion? Next is to what they have learned. Ano na yung natutunan nila? And what additional questions have been generated after the lesson? Ano yung mga karagdagang katanungan na naisip nila after nung discussion, after nung lesson? So, science logs are introduced as places where students will write about their experiences in science, including their observations, questions, and insights. And we can also use these science logs whenever we're having simulation activities in our online classes. But first, what is a simulation? So when we talk about simulation, it is a form of experiential learning. So meaning students can experience. Na po, it is a strategy that fits well with the principles of student-centered and constructivist teaching and learning. So it represents a reality within which students can interact with one another. So since we cannot perform laboratory activities in this time of pandemic, hindi naman po natin sila pwedeng papuntahin sa laboratory. Na po. So mas maganda kasi kapag natatry pa rin nila kung ano yung mga kailangan nilang i-perform sa laboratory. So, simulation will play a vital role in the teaching and learning process, especially in online classes, since some of our students do not have access to those materials, tulad na lang ng magnets. So, hindi lahat sila may magnet sa bahay. Compass, copper wires, sample electric motors, and generators in their homes. So, we can let our students manipulate materials on their own virtually. Nga po. So, there's no need for them na pumunta pa sa laboratory, sa school, para matry, para makapag-manipulate. No po. Kasi wala silang gamit sa bahay. Okay? So, why use simulations? First is to know the function of different materials in their simulation activity, to know how to manipulate or use materials that they are going to use. Next is to think of ways on how they can properly manipulate and experiment in their own virtual lab. So adding simulations can enhance students' skill development as well as their conceptual knowledge of science. Next is to learn. So simulations let each student practice and interact with scientific skills and concepts. Simulations can provide immediate feedback. So pag nagpo-provide tayo ng immediate feedback, that's allowing students to correct misconceptions. No po. Next is to explore. So the main benefit of letting students interact with simulations is that it engages them in deep learning. If students are given the chance to try out what they have learned theoretically, kasi hindi naman po pwedeng more on theories lang ang mga bata, di ba po? So it's always the best kung maia-apply nila. So they will have a practical overview on the material and therefore, they will get a deeper understanding on how things work in reality. So, di ba nga po, meron tayong kasabihan, tell me and I forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I learn. So, iba pa rin kapag sila mismo yung gumagawa. Talagang natututo sila. Okay? And last is to imagine. With virtual simulations, students get to visualize and interact with concepts outside the realm of traditional lab. A higher level of engagement can help transform learning into an interactive process, and the added fun factor will help steer students' interests. Yes, this encourages students to test out their knowledge in different ways, which can lead to innovative solutions to a given problem. Apo. So, learning is more powerful and dynamic with tools that are already right in front of us. And it's up to us, educators, to impress this on students in the classroom or in our class. It's either modular or distance or online distance learning. So when you bring real things and authentic daily life situations in your classroom, listening becomes discovering, interest becomes wonder, and passive learning becomes active exploration. So lessons come to life with touch, motion, and sound. So here are some websites that offer free interactive simulations. First is the Physics Classroom. So here is their website, https://www.physicsclassroom.com, and they offer a wide range of simulation activities in physics, like kinematics, Newton's laws, vectors and projectiles, momentum and collisions, work and energy, circular and satellite motion, balance and rotation, static electricity, electric circuits, magnetism. So, magnetism po is one of the topics sa ating grade 10 science. Waves and sound, light and color. So we also have reflection and mirrors, refraction and lenses na pwede rin nating magamit sa lesson po natin sa grade 10 science. And here are some of the simulations in the physics classroom. And another website that offers free interactive simulations is the PhET simulation. Here is their website, https://www.phet.colorado.edu. So you can also create an account so that you can access their teacher-submitted activities in their website for free. And you can also watch a video about a certain or specific simulation that you are going to use. So meron po doong video na pwede kang i-guide kung paano mo gagamitin yung simulation na gusto mong gamitin. And those teacher-submitted activities are already made activities po na pwede nating i-download galing sa kanilang website. And we can also modify yung mga teacher-submitted activities po na yon para mas maging applicable po sa gagawin mong simulation. And here are some of the simulations in physics that PhET provides. And now, let us try some of their interactive simulations that we can use in our discussion for the second quarter of Grade 10 Science. ends my topic. Here are the references that I have used in my discussion. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you learned something new. Stay safe, everyone. God bless po.
Tama. As 21st century science teachers, kailangan natin sumabay sa pagbabago. Thank you, Ma'am Catherine, for sharing those teaching strategies. At tama ka po, Ma'am Kat. Huwag po natin kalilimutan na bukod sa science subject ay may 7 subjects pa ang mga bata. Kaya napakahalaga na ma-organize ang mga information na i-inject sa mga isip nila. Ano masasabi mo doon, Ma'am Evelyn?
Yes, Ma'am Joanne, sa dami nga ng subjects ng mga bata, hindi maaalis na ma-stress at malito din sila. Pero sabi nga ni Ma'am Kat, with the strategies that we're going to use, madali nating mapapatuto ang mga bata. Isa ng halimbawa nito ay ang paggamit ng mnemonics. So, sa paggamit ng mnemonics, they will learn and at the same time, they will enjoy.
Correct, partner. Ang mabilis na pagkatuto at longer retention ng mga bata ay nakasalalay sa approaches na gagamitin natin. Kaya maraming salamat, Ma'am Kath, for sharing different strategies that are very suitable for this new normal way of teaching and learning.
Concludes the 3 topics for this afternoon's webinar series for Grade 10 Science. Talaga namang napakahuhusay ng facilitators natin, partner. Napakalinaw ng pagkaka-explain. They are indeed a real definition of beauty and brains. Kung ako lang, partner, wala na akong tanong eh. Pero may mga nakita ko sa comment box natin kanina.
Teka partner, shoutout muna natin ang mga viewers natin habang nagre-ready yung sa ating Q&A, yung ating mga facilitators. Hi po sa mga taga-Limay National High School, lalong-lalo na po sa aking principal, kay Ma'am Solita I. Villones, at sa aking head teacher, kay Ma'am Maria Catherine C. Rivero. At saka yung mga grade 10 science teachers, at saka sa lahat po ng mga kaguruan na nanonood ngayon dito sa ating live. And batiin din natin, partner, yung mga nasa comment box natin. Lalong-lalo na yung mga, ilan ba tayo? 45 viewers. Sana madagdagan pa. Ma'am.
Okay, partner. So, hello po sa lahat ng mga viewers natin at sa SDO Bataan. And shout out din po para sa mga kasamahan ko sa Paggalanggang National High School, lalong-lalo na po sa aking mabait na head na si Ma'am Cheryl B. Mendoza at sa aming napakagandang principal na si Ma'am Ara Velasco. Okay, partner. Nakapag-inhale, exhale na raw ang ating mga facilitators at ready na sila para sagutin ang mga tanong. Can you give the first question, partner?
Our first question is from Sir Romeo Abansenya. So this question is for Ma'am Mylene. What best determines the qualitative characteristics or size of the image form on lens and mirror? Why? Ma'am.
Hello po, good afternoon po. So, to answer that question, a factor that best determines the size of the image form on lenses and mirrors is the distance of the object to the simple optical elements. For example po, sa diverging lens and in a converging mirrors, the nearer the distance of the object to this or to the mirrors and lenses, the image becomes larger po.
Ayun po.
Wow, napaka-informative naman ng sagot ni ma'am. Maganda na, matalino pa. Okay, ikaw partner. Anong masasabi natin?
Okay, partner, so sobrang excited natin, nakalimutan nating batiin yung ating mga speakers. So hello po kay Ma'am Catherine Bernabe, kay Ma'am Marites Banson, at kay Ma'am Mylene Elardo. Okay po. So may pangalawang tanong po tayo para sa ating binibining marikit na si Ma'am Catherine Bernabe. So ang question po ay nanggaling kay Ma'am Misty de la Cruz from Orani National High School. Ma'am Kat, the question is it necessary to create an account in the physics classroom or PET Interactive to access their simulations?
Hello po, good afternoon po sa lahat po ng ating mga viewers, and thank you din po sa question po ni Ma'am Misty. So the answer po in that question po is no. So we can still access pa rin po yung kanilang mga interactive simulations kahit po tayo ay hindi po naka-login or wala po tayong account sa kanilang website. So yung advantage lang naman po if tayo ay mayroong account or naka-login po tayo sa kanilang website like po sa PhET is that we can access po yung kanilang mga sample videos. Yung mga sample videos po kasi na yun, guide po yun ng teachers, pwede pong panoorin ng teachers kung paano po gamitin yung specific simulation na gusto nating gamitin. And yung mga teacher-submitted activities nga po, ayun, pwede pong ma-download yun kapag tayo po ay naka-login. Sa physics classroom naman po, kapag tayo po ay walang account or hindi po naka-login, still po ma-access pa rin natin yung mga interactive simulations po nila. So again po, the answer po sa question po ni ma'am is no po. We can still access po kahit po tayo ay walang account or hindi po tayo naka-login.
Okay po, Ma'am Kat, thank you po for that clarification on the queries of Ma'am Misty.
Okay, our next question is from Ma'am Margarita Salaria of Limay National High School. This is for Ma'am Marites. As a teacher, how can we teach your topic to our student in such a way that they can surely appreciate it? Ma'am.
Okay, good afternoon po. Thank you very much sa question. Although I heard some of these mga information from our moderators. So, para po ma-appreciate na mga students natin ang topic na electromagnetic spectrum, so syempre mas maganda kung i-relate natin sila sa kanilang everyday experiences. So, but first, we should make it clear to them ano ba ang electromagnetic spectrum or ano ba ang electromagnetic radiation. So let us make it clear to them na it is everywhere around us in our everyday life. It is very beneficial to our lives and it lead to technological advancement na ina-enjoy natin sa ngayon. And another is let us focus on what type or what kind of EM radiation they are exposed to, how long they are or how many hours do they spend in using gadgets like the computers, yung paglalaro ng computer games, ng kanilang cell phones. So yun. And then, so let us also assert that although this EM radiation give benefits to us, but still they have to be careful with the negative effects to our health. So kailangan rin sila, alam nilang i-manage yun kasi although maganda siya, but kung hindi naman natin magagamit ng tama, it would cause harm to us. So sabi nga 'di ba, lahat ng masama lahat ng sobra is masama. So kaya yan lang natin, balance lang. Dito nga sa atin 'di ba, sa DepEd, so we try to follow na kailangan meron lang silang limited hours ng online class. So para sa ganun, hindi sila ma-expose ng matagal sa mga radiation. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Wow, very well said, Ma'am Tess. Thank you po sa comment at saka sa clarifications, ma'am. Sana na-satisfy namin si Ma'am Salaria ng Limay National High School. Ma'am? Finally, let us listen.
Okay po, so before we proceed with our closing remarks, pwede pong mag-shout out yung ating mga facilitators sa mga gusto nilang pasalamatan. Okay, start po tayo kay Ma'am Kat, and then it will be followed by Ma'am Maylene, and then si Ma'am Tess po.
Hello po, good afternoon po sa lahat po ng ating mga viewers. Thank you po na nakasama po namin kayo ngayon. Sana po ay marami po kayong nakuha po mula po sa aming mga facilitators. So, shout out po ako sa aking mga co-teachers po sa JAG MHS, especially po sa aming new principal, si Dr. Angelo R. Basilio. Same din po sa aming napakasipag na science coordinator, si Ma'am Evelyn Kicho. And shout out po sa lahat po ng kasama ko po sa Science Department, and ganoon na rin po sa mga kasama ko po sa grade 10 teachers po sa JAG. Iyon lamang po.
Okay na. So, now, shout out muna daw po kay Ma'am Gina Manrique ng Limay National High School to galing, no? Shout out daw po sa Science Department ng Limay National High School, especially kay Ma'am Cathy. I love you, Ma'am Kat. Yeah, Ma'am.
Yes po, hello po. So good afternoon po ulit sa ating lahat. Shout out po sa aming butihing principal na si Ma'am Jeneline Isibayan. Gayon din po sa aking mga kasamahan na guro sa St. Francis National High School. Binabati ko rin po yung mga masisipag po namin kasamahan dito sa team po ng grade 10. Yung nag-aabala po especially ng online platform, lalo na po si especially po si Ma'am Josephine at si Sir Nong po. Ngayon din po sa masisipag po namin na school head and head teacher in charge na sina Ma'am Annalisa Dominguez at si Ma'am Cecil po. Hello po sa inyo.
Okay po, Ma'am Tess. Shout out nyo naman po.
Okay, thank you very much again for listening sa ating mga viewers. And syempre, isa-shout out ko ang mga teachers and staff ng EC Bernabe National High School. Hello sa inyong lahat, especially sa mga science teachers. And of course, syempre sa aming masipag na head teacher na si Ma'am Julieta Agkawili. And sa aming napaka-energetic at hardworking na principal na si Ma'am Gemma Cabreros. Thank you very much po. And sa lahat ng mga nakasama ko sa seminar na to, sa PMT, very thankful ako. So, salamat. See you again.
Aba, gusto pang umulit ni Mama. And now, to formally close our program this afternoon, we would like to thank all the persons behind this activity. Thank you, SDO Bataan. Thank you, CID Chief, Dr. Milagros M. Peñaflor, and to our EPS Science on Ben. EPS Science, Dr. Edwin Riel Bermilio. Thank you to our awesome facilitators, Ma'am Maylene B. Ilardo, Ma'am Marites Banzon, and Ma'am Catherine E. Bernabe.
Okay. Thank you din po para sa ating program chair, kay Ma'am Annalisa V. Dominguez at kay Ma'am Maria Cecilia D. Flores. We would like to thank also our online platform committee, Sir Onofre M. Aquino Jr. and Ma'am Josephine D. Avancenia. At maraming salamat din po para sa ating program design team na sina Ma'am Natividad C. Gloria and Ma'am Janine F. Calma. And wag po nating kalimutan ang Google Form teams po natin. Maraming salamat din po sa pag-provide ng ating registration, attendance, evaluation, and post-test, Ma'am Mary Ann S. Aclado and Ma'am Margarita L. Salaria. And since nandun na po tayo sa Google Forms, may I just remind our participants to accomplish the forms if you are not done yet with it. So, meron po tayong tatlong forms diyan, yung pong ating attendance form o yung ating registration form. Then, we also have the post-evaluation regarding our webinar series at yung post-test po sa mga topics ng ating facilitators. The links will be sent once again to our comment box.
And to the viewers and attendees, once again, thank you very much for being with us today.
And to formally close our webinar series for this afternoon, let us listen to the closing remarks of the Head Teacher 3 of Balsik National High School, Ma'am Maria Cecilia D. Flores.
Hello, magandang hapon. So ayan, nakatapos na tayo ng isang second webinar series natin for the second quarter. Ito ang ating division webinar series on science content and teaching strategies for the grade 10 teachers. So I do hope na ang lahat ng mga lessons, knowledge na share ng ating mga knowledgeable speakers ay magagamit ng bawat isa sa atin para sa higit pang ikauunlad ng ating pagtuturo, pagpataas ng antas ng edukasyon sa larangan ng agham sa ating division. So, these webinars will not be possible without the guidance of our division superintendent, Dr. Romeo M. Alip, our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, William Paljurin, also with our CID Chief, Dr. Milagros Peñaflor, and of course, our energetic EPS, Dr. Edwin Bermilio. So, pinagpapasalamat namin lahat sa supportang ito, ang support na binigay sa atin para maging possible ang webinar na ito. And syempre, sa ating mga research speakers at sa ating program management team na talagang nag-exert ng sobrang effort para maging successful itong webinar na ito. So inaasahan po, ganun din sa ating mga teacher participants, I do hope na patuloy kayong sumubaybaybay o attend ng webinar series na to sapagkat sa pamamagitan nito, patuloy na yayabong ang ating mga kaalaman para sa agham. So muli, maraming salamat at magkita-kita ulit tayo sa susunod na webinar. Magandang hapon!
And to our viewers, again, thank you very much. And thank you very much for being with us today.
Yes po, thank you po sa ating viewers and thank you po Ma'am Cecil for the very motivating message.
We are your moderators,
Evelyn M. Laksamana
and Joan Hervasio, saying, sama-sama sa pagsulong ng edukalidad para sa bata,
para sa bayan.
Thank you, mabuhay, and be safe.